I just want to take a brief moment. I know you're saying, Attorney Mom, you uploading a lot today because I got a lot to say. I want to talk about why I became a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. In college, I had an aunt. My Aunt Naomi, God rest her soul. My Aunt Naomi was about community service and church. And she was a Delta. She became a Delta, and she thought I was her protege. And so she wanted me to also pledge Delta Sigma Theta, and I would have. I didn't even give Alpha Kappa Alpha a thought. But what happened was the Deltas were suspended. I went to Delaware State University. It was college back then, undergrad. So it's a historically black college. And so I went to the rush. I won a phone book. I still have the phone book. 30 something years later, almost 40 years later. Oh, actually, it's 39 years later. I still have the phone book. I won. I don't know if I had the highest GPA or something, but they were giving out little. I think it's because I had the highest GPA at the time. So they got suspended. No, okay, after I went to the rush, the girls in my class that were Deltas, they started, you want to pledge Delta Sigma. They was trying to like low-key haze me. That kind of turned me off a little bit, because, I'm very prideful. I don't like nobody hitting me. I don't like nobody mistreating me. But I was going to do it for my Aunt Naomi. Well, they got suspended. And they remained suspended the entire time I was at Del State. So my senior year, I'm doing work study, and I'm working with the Dean Tisdale. He's an Omega Psi Phi member. Dean Tisdale was the Dean of Student Affairs. And I would babysit for him and his wife. And his wife was an AKA. And Sora Alice Tisdale she was so beautiful, and they remind me of the Huxtables. They remind me of the Huxtables. So, and she told me, she said, are you interested in pledging AKA, and I said, no, I'm interested in pledging Delta. She said, no, you will be an AKA. I said, okay. So they were gonna have a line my senior year, and I ain't like some of the girls from DC how they treated me. I said, well, I'm a pledge undergrad. I'm about to leave. I don't want to mess up my GPA because I'm trying to go to law school. So I didn't go on that line with them. Fast forward, I come back home. I get into Seton Hall Law School. Started attending Seton Hall Law School. And I told my friend at the time, was my soror now, I told Soror Crystal, I said, I'm interested. So she gave me the paperwork. I filled it out. And she said it was unanimous. Everybody wanted me in the sorority. And I told my friends that were Deltas, I said, the AKAs need me. The AKAs need me. That's what I told my sorors. So the rest is history. In 1991, December 1991, I became an AKA. But I was still in law school. I was in my second year of law school. So I was still in law school, but I tried to stay active, and I did, I used my money, because it's a financial responsibility. You got to pay to be a member. Okay? You got any organization, you got to pay. You got to pay to be a member of the bar. You got to pay. Everything requires money. So I stayed active as long as I can, but and we had a small chapter. Our chapter was very small. The Patterson chapter, it was Pi Xi Omega. They were very small, and I loved that chapter. I loved our basilisks, both of them, Selena and Sora Selena and Sora Teresa. I loved them. I loved them. I loved all those women because they understood what sisterhood was all about. Fast forward, I graduated, started trying to, build my career. So I didn't have the money to stay active, but I would go to functions and stuff. But it cost, at the time, you were taxed 5 tickets per event. I just couldn't keep up with the financial responsibility. And that's really a lot of the problems with a lot of sorors. So I wasn't active, but I always supported my sorority. I always made sure, if a soror needed me, I was there. And Soror Crystal and I stayed close. I mean, so she told me when I got pregnant with my third child, she said, "Look, this is the last baby shower I'm coming to." She started laughing. She said, "This is the last one. You don't have no more darn kids." Oh God. I miss Soror Crystal. She died. She died 2